Photographers are like pilots. They take people on journeys with false hope, and they end up disappointed in the end. They like to be higher up than most people. It's bullshit, but if 10 of them ask me for help, I will help them.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the Canon EOS R 24mm Tony 1.4 ridiculous glimmer glass filter, experimental low ISO, thanks to Gerald Undone. We're gonna see, aren't we? 100 ISO in C-Log. Best dynamic range in the business. Low noise floor, anyone? I'll take one. Was that your question? What earbuds do you use? Usually, I would not answer non-camera related items to your family, but these are so good. I feel like I gotta share with you what they are. They're the KZ, come on Canon, do it. Yeah. KZ, they're like hi-fi earbuds. Oh, I wrote it down on the other page. I wasn't even on the page. I suck. The KZ ZS10 hi-fi. They're so comfy, but they also sound so incredible. I asked my friend Eddie from Thailand, remember him? We've done a couple videos together, and he's all into this hi-fi stuff, and I was like, what earbuds should I get? And he mentioned these, and I've been blown away. The second I put them in, they were so comfy, and they sound good for editing videos and music. Everything about them is just so high quality. Wow. Is Resolve Studio worth buying? Of course it is. Through my affiliate links, of course. Don't have Audition, but I'd love to be able to eliminate background noise from my videos. That is an interesting effect. It sounds pretty terrible, but it's incredible that like a loud truck can go by you outdoors and it can eliminate it. You sound like a robot on crack and cocaine at the same time. Those don't mix. We all know that. Seems to allow even crappy camera mics to sound decent. It's not bad. It's not bad. I've heard the 422 10-bit 65 XT4 clips also can be done with studio version, but not sure what other features people buy it for. You can't do 10-bit in the regular free version, and no matter what you're editing, everything is so slow. Like they cripple that thing hard. As soon as you upgrade to the studio, it's like, oh wow, everything's smooth, and even if it's non-10-bit, it just everything plays faster. You get like all these effects that you might never use. A lot of like that fusion tab, never click it unless you're a scientist. That thing cannot be done. My computer just dies whenever I see a tutorial. It's like, here's how you do this effects. Like I can't play any of that. I don't need a PC upgrade. You need an upgrade. Your family needs an upgrade. Your mom needed one. You weren't it. Not a camera related question, but what made you like wildlife videography? Why you got into it? I had to look back into the archives. I was like, how did that even get started? I've always been into wildlife photography. It's weird. As soon as I started this channel, I stopped taking pictures as a rule. But like back in the day, I've always, like I had my little super zoom camera. I was like, yes. And I was taking pictures of every animal I could find. It was fantastic, and then for some reason I just like stopped doing it. No idea why. Just had no inklings. So I looked back through my videos to find where it started. It all started when Camera Canada lent me that 800mm Tony 11 on the EOS R, and I tried it and I was kind of blown away at some of the stuff I was getting. When I had it on the tripod and that red-winged blackbird went up the hill and jumped onto the hero's perch and bellowed out and it was backlit, and I was like, wow, that is fantastic. And then I started researching like what could I buy, and I looked at a Sony RX10 Mark IV. I saw one used on Amazon. I got that, and then I started going out and getting some footage, but I was not blown away. It didn't give me the magic I was seeking. I did see a fox. That was pretty cool. We saw a fox. I ended up returning that thing. I got an Olympus 12-200 because I thought maybe one lens to vlog and do wildlife. It was bullshit. It was a super stiff zoom. That was unusable. And then the magic happened. My friend lent me his X-T4 so I could do a review of some bullshit Tamron lens. I think it was the 18-300, same idea, vlogging and wildlife. And he also lent me his 70-300, and I took that out, and it was that day that the magic was witnessed. I was doing some slow-mo, and I was like, wow, 240 frame woodpecker action, the Fuji colors, I was blown away. I was like, yes, this is for me. I wasn't willing to spend actual money to get this habit going, but eventually I saw a used Olympus 75-300, pounced on that, and before that even arrived, I saw a used Sony G Master 100-400, and I pounced on that, and I took that out. I saw an owl. I was hooked. It was all about getting camera life gear. That's not what is wildlife. It's not camera life. I'm curious, what is your favorite camera? I don't know that I have one. The Canon EOS R, for this, I'm loving it. I'm just loving it. It's so easy. The battery, I've made like videos for 4 days, I think. Like multiple, probably 15 videos. And that battery just keeps on chugging. It's at the bottom bar, but it still goes. You don't have to worry about a damn thing. The colors are decent enough sometimes. Just pleasing image. Man, I trashed this camera when it first came out because I wanted an all-encompassing vlogging with IBIS, everything camera, super slow-mo. But if you're just doing YouTube studio stuff and you're not needing slow motion, although you should need it, as I'm displaying to you now, slow motion can be fun. But EOS R for the face and in YouTube studio, fantastic. My favorite camera. For wildlife, right now, I think it's a toss-up, but pretty much I prefer the Sony a7S III with that 200-600. GH6 is a close second, sometimes better. I don't know, it's more stable, much lighter, has a special look, more cinema look. So beautiful. They're both great. And for vlogs, you can't beat that Olympus EM1 III. That was the best. We'll never achieve that again. Olympus has been sold to sushi makers. They don't know what they're doing. The color of salmon is all they see. That was, you can't beat that thing. And I miss it. Not that I sold it. Flatter Santa, forgive me. Is the image quality a lot better on the 200mm Leica Prime compared to the 100-400? At 200 it would be, but like if you can get so much closer on that 400mm, you're gonna get the better shot. So it depends, what's your range? I find 200 is like barely enough. Sometimes it's more than enough, but mostly it's not enough. But it's good enough. You usually mention that the zoom ring is very tight on the 100-400. I have that lens, you're absolutely correct, but on the 200mm, it doesn't even have a zoom. Yeah, stiff versus not needing one. That's the benefit of a prime. It simplifies the mind. You just point and you go. Focus, boom. I prefer it. Even when I have zoom lenses now, like the Sony 200-600, I'm often just leave it at 600 and then find your thing. Boom, boom. It's so much easier. I hate the whole process of lifting, zooming, no, lifting, finding, zooming, focusing. Too much, man. Whereas the prime is just like, boom, focus, yes. I'm old with 2 bad knees, so I like a smaller platform of Micro Four Thirds. I think you need to get on 1 gallon a day of distilled water, my friend. It melts arthritis away. If you have any condition of pain in the body, it's because you suck at life, and get this in your body and it will suck out the poisons. Do it, you piece of shit. Subscribe to my Vegetable Police channel for the best health knowledge. I wish that could be in the scene. Oh man, the beauty would be ours. Your knees suck. Allow me to 2 cameras. One is macro setup, the other is 100-400. The latter usually set around 300 length. Nice to have the option to change if needed. It's your fault I'm using Panasonic. Can't be beat. Best stave in the business. Color science, somewhat respectable. Falling behind Canon and Nikon and Olympus and Fuji, but a decent, somewhat. So bottom line, if you need the reach, the 100-400 will do you, but the Leica 200mm Prime brings you into full frame territory because it's a 2.8, that's 5.6 equiv, A lot of full frame glass is slower than that, Canon boy, with your 7.1. So like it brings you the life. Whereas like 6.3, you're looking at a 12.6. That's gross. I can't believe I let that out of my mouth. My mouth sack. Our good old buddy John Drummond. Go subscribe to johndrummond.com. What profile did you use for the GH6? That footage was very green compared to the Canon and Sony. Different audio too. What I've been doing on the Panty Boy is filming in log pretty much always, because you need that dynamic range to compete with the full frame. And I might have lowered the reds at one point. I was like, my face looks red. So I lowered it. If you lower reds too much, green is the counter villain to that superhero. So I think that's what happened in my original GH6 footage, because when I don't do that, it just looks fine. Just get your white balance correct, and that's what happened in that video. If you're recording audio to the camera, which has the best codecs? Do you ever record in a Tascam, something in sync and post? That might give you more. So right now I am in the Tascam. That's what I do. Usually I'm using Canon EOS R with that boom arm. I'm using it now, but I'm not really close enough. Oh, the battery's flashing. You ruined my life, Canon. I'll switch to something better because you ruined me. So usually I'm just doing a shotgun into there. Canon is bullshit preamps. It's Sony and Panasonic leading the industry. Everybody else really hisses at you. But if you can get a mic with the power, you power it up and then lower those preamps, you're decent. So that's usually what I do. If not, I do Tascam with the lav mic further away in 4K. Not that there's a crop. Or lately, I've been doing the XLR mic into Audacity, sync and post. We can do that sometimes. I don't mind it. That makes me nervous. Sony Color Science, back again. Audio brought to you by johndrummond.com. We're now on a dynamic mic into Audacity, and the microphone's not in the shot. We're moving on from him. Thanks for your video. Loved it. Fanboy much? Get a job. What would you recommend for just video recording, not vlogging, the 15 or the 11mm? He's talking about loser APS-C from Sony, the bastard child they abandoned in a dumpster. Sure, they have the FX30, but no viewfinder. It's coming probably, that A700 or whatever, replacement for their bullshit A6400 lineup. Something like that with the viewfinder, I could dig it. I would go 15mm. The 11 is nice. It's slightly lighter, but why bother? You can still vlog with the 15mm. You stick it on out there. I vlog with 16 equiv. So 15, you're laughing. 1.4 is better. It's not gonna have any 3D pop. It's Sony. It's bullshit. But better than the 11. You'll regret the 11 at some point. I'm wondering why you haven't used the EOS R for wildlife. That sensor for pahotos. What is the pahotos? Is that something a camera can do that I'm unaware of? Fantastic. Used the RP for a year and it was amazing. So much detail. Yeah, thanks for sharing your photographic journey on my video channel, you piece of hunking shit. I spit on my filter. It just adds glare. I prefer it. R is better in that regard. Plus the 4K crop could be an advantage for wildlife. Longer the reach. Get the budget RF 100 to 400 and enjoy. The 24 to 240 is also a great option. Yeah, the super zooms, those never compromise on anything. Oh boy. Also a great option, kind of miss it to be honest. Listen, asshole. Canon EOS R is fantastic at one thing, the human face, nothing else. 24p wildlife makes me bleed when I see it. I'm just watching super high shutter speed, over sharpened, clipped highlights, 24 frames per second. It's just a bewildering mess for my mind. I like the slow motion art. I'm going down to 720 pixels for wildlife now? No. That will never be done. I would have to get a lens. I would like the 100 to 500 with like a Canon R6 II. So technically, if I could ever find a deal for the 100 to 500, I buy it. I would try it on this, but it would look like utter trash meat in a can. So that's why I haven't done it. I don't have a lens. I'm not going to get one because it doesn't scream wildlife. No slow-mo, no stabe. A bunch of bullshit. No animal eye detect. What are you going to do with that thing? Nothing. Why am I in auto white balance? That can't be good. Did Sony make a good choice? And if I now change, will it get better or worse? Let me know in the poll down below. Did anything change? I find Sony, I get a lot of comments saying, Sony, you have to like knock it down a little cooler because they run a little warm. Hibernating bears over here. So I find you can't really custom white balance because then it's too warm and then you have to tweak it after and things get weird. I hate you, Sony, always. The final image of Canon versus Fuji, who would win? I know what I prefer. It's very close. I prefer Canon colors. They just get the white balance more accurate most of the time. Fuji is like, might be second best skin tones in the game. Like beautified. Beautiful, absolute, utterly beautiful. Wish I had one. But I do prefer Canon. Whenever I see, like, just look, Canon versus Fuji, you see the Canon is better. It's full frame versus APS-C. That's what matters. And then Fuji's like, we'll outdo you all with medium format. Nobody's buying that system. You're a bunch of freaks. Landscape architects over here. Look at that. My backpack's in the shot. Bunch of photographers. Helen, look at that grizzly bear family. Go bring them some of our oatmeal. Oh, run, help. Oh, yes, I'm getting it. Oh, you're so fast. I'm so proud of you, Hel. Oh, wow, you tripped on my knapsack. My knapsack is what killed my wife. I'll just delete these photos. They're of no use to me now. What's that, sir? You're looking for action scenes of women running from bears? Oh boy. I just had a bunch of photos. I deleted them now. You wouldn't have paid like more than $2,000. I'm in debt for quite a bit of money. How much would you have paid? $700 million. Why so much? The once in a lifetime opportunity. I get it. My wife's dead. You're a loser. All right, last question. C100 Mark II to change your studio life forever. You don't know what you're talking about? That would change nothing for the better, only for the worst. I looked into it. Would be fantastic. The image would likely look even more pleasing than the EOS R. But what lens are you going to get? You can't get any. There are none. It's an APS-C sensor in a full frame mount. All the APS-C glass for Canon is kit lens hobo shit. And even the full frame, it's like there's nothing wide. You're stuck with like replica Sigma bullshit. It's 14 mils and shit. Canon had a 14 mil 2.8. I feel like that would just look so dumb. So dumb. There's not one lens that is exciting. Give me like at least the Sigma 16 mil 1.4s. That trio of hatred. That might have had something, but in general, you're stuck in here with your autofocus box. Can't do any slow-mo. 1080p, 60p. But for a studio cam, you get your little XLR mic. I feel like it's still not close enough. It would be right here. You'd be backed up because you don't have a wide lens. The top handle is bringing the mic to like this area. You're closer, but that little boom arm is much better anyway. Or you get something like that. XLR. So it's not good. It's not great. Nothing from Canon Cinema is good. That whole menu system, it's trash. It's unusable. Makes like auto exposure hard. Everything sucks about Canon unless it's the face that you want to film. I'm going to leave. How are you doing? Are you subscribing? Have you bought something through my affiliate links to save a kitten? I appreciate it. Audio. Subscribe.